A lifetime of hard work, children laughing in the kitchen, family photos on a restaurant wall, a legacy that lives on. It all comes from the power of a conversation, like the one Tommy Hall had with First Horizon Bank about taking over his father's Charleston-based restaurant business. Now the table is set for a whole new generation. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Tommy. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
They say marketing is a madman's game. So now we turn it over to the Marketing Madman with Nick Constantino and Trip Job on Extra 106.3 FM.
Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Marketing Madman. Nick Constantino here, and we are driving to the Masters right now. I have with me my guest, Mr. Jaron Solomon. Jaron, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I am pumped. We are on our way to Augusta National. Can't be more excited.
Yeah, so we are recording a show while driving in the rain to Augusta. Don't tell my mother. So, Jaron, we're going to talk about Solomon Brothers and the legacy that your family has built with the jewelry store. But before we get to that, we're heading to the Masters. You have been many a times. As you know from me playing golf and my level of expertise in golf, this is my first time. So first off, tell me what to expect.
Well, Nick, you're in for a treat today, buddy. Masters, my favorite place in the world. Yeah, it's raining right now, but the heavens will open up here a little bit for us, but we'll get to the Masters, and you're going to experience probably the nicest grass you've ever walked on, that's for sure. We are going to a brand new hospitality area, which we'll talk about a little later in the show, and you're going to see some of the best golfers in the world, but the food is what we're most excited about here. We got the pimento cheese sandwiches, egg salad sandwiches, just the cups alone, Nick. We're going to stack up some cups today. We're going to drink some domestic, some imports, no names on the beers over there, and we are going to have ourselves a really good time today.
Now, if you're not one in the know, you'd be like, who the hell wants to do that? Who wants to eat cheese sandwiches and eggs when you're going to an event that costs well into tens of thousands of dollars to go to? But explain a little bit the allure of all this in the best words you can, because luckily I'm going to see it for the first time. So I think afterwards I'll be able to kind of put words to it. But in the best way you can, tell me what is so appealing about showing up at a golf course and eating eggs and cheese sandwiches and drinking beers that aren't even labeled by name.
In all honesty, this place, in one word, is majestic. You're going to experience today, number one, the best customer service you'll ever see in your life, the most well-run tournament and just sporting event probably in the world, and going in there and the simplicity, keeping the prices down on all these sandwiches, the beer prices, the drink prices, everything is just so affordable, so welcoming, and you're going to go sit down on a couple of different holes, watch these guys play some golf, and it is just going to be the most relaxing day and so much fun.
Yeah, I think they do a really good job with their tagline, a tradition unlike any other. And I feel like it's just that whimsy. It's that, like you said, the majesty. Like you have to, if you're not here, then you won't get it. And it's not like keeping you excluded, but man, it's pretty hard to get over here. I mean, you either got to know the right people, you got to be established in the industry around it, or you got to get really lucky, right? Because, I mean, how many people get to go to the Masters every year? What would you say per day? How many people are allowed on the grounds?
You know, I don't know what the numbers are on the grounds, Nick, but the coolest thing that you're going to probably see today is you're going to hear a ton of foreign accents. And it is so cool to see people from all over the world that come to Augusta, Georgia. We are so spoiled that we live about 2 hours away in Atlanta. But it is crazy to think that here in Augusta, Georgia, where there's about nothing other than the Masters, it keeps this town alive every single year. And the amount of people that come worldwide, it is so special to be going, and it is extremely hard to get a ticket to. And the lottery that they've opened up, which is really cool, where people can apply for tickets every year. But even that is, it's a crapshoot. So it's really cool to be going, and you're gonna see some people today that are just like you, just wide-eyed, and you're gonna walk in there and be like, yeah, TV is amazing. Yeah. But with how, again, majestic this place is, with how hilly it is, get your walking boots on, because it's going to be a long day for you, but it's really something special.
Yeah, and my intention is to do what you said. I'm going to eat, have a couple beers, but I'm going to walk. I want to see the grounds. I want to see everything. I want to see people hitting the ball. More importantly, I just want to see this whole place. And I think that, TV does a good job. Let's say, for what it's worth, watching on TV, they have the right shots, amen corner, all of these different things. Even as not a big watcher, they're the stuff of legend and legacy, which I think is ultimately, their marketing is a unique form of marketing, right? They are marketing something in which they really don't want you to come to. They're marketing something in which they want to be that mystique and that legacy. And it's a really hard balancing act to do. So talk about what you think that the Masters has done. Let's put aside the hospitality and the being there. Why is it such a big event on television? Why is it something people wait for so long? Why is it, it's promoted on TV for months. I think since January, I've been seeing the green screen pop up for the Masters. Talk a little bit about that, because what I want to do is segue this conversation into lifestyle and how golf applies to jewelry and watches and this lifestyle phase that we're in right now. Talk about what they've done a good job of to make this so much mystique around this tournament.
Yeah, well, like you said, marketing, and it's almost marketing, quietly, but yet doing it out loud. So meaning the Masters app in itself, right, is probably the best sporting app in the business today. You go on that app and you can see absolutely everything, but yet they make it so exclusive and they make you wanting more. So they're willing to show you a lot. It's really interesting. Today you're even going to see members, right? It's so exclusive to find out who is a member of Augusta National. Nobody talks about it, but yet today you're going to see walking around the grounds people wearing green jackets, and you're going to say, Jaron, is that guy a member? And I'm going to say, yeah, because he is wearing a green jacket. And so it's just so cool what they have done. They're so welcoming for something that is so exclusive and doesn't feel as welcoming until you actually go. And I think that's what you're going to feel today. And I think that's what they do amazingly well from a marketing perspective, is they make you want to come here and a little uncomfortable even on your way. But when you get there, oh my God, it's the most welcoming place in the world.
Yeah, and I find it ironic. I feel like it's something to do with the Southern charm and hospitality, because there is something in my head as a New Yorker off about paying so much money to have to pay respect to somebody else. In my head, it's like, wait a second, I'm paying you how much? This is not how this interaction is supposed to go. And I think the first time I felt that, I actually was probably with you when we were at Wade, and I was like, what do you mean I have to take my hat off when I'm in the clubhouse? This dude just paid $3,000 for us to be here and $250,000 for a membership. I'm doing what I want to do. That's the Yankee in me, but I think it well epitomizes the Southern charm and the spectacle of exactly that. You respect the entity. And the Masters as an entity is probably one of the most respected that there is in the face of the earth. And I think it is impossible to market yourself and build that mystique without first being able to build that respect. So from what I have seen, and again, guys, I'm new to this. This world is a very new one to me. And Jaron luckily knows this, because he's been with me at Wade in a couple of these tournaments where fish out of water is an understatement. Now, I've done better. I think the last time I was with Jaron, he said I was the most improved golfer he's ever seen because of how I got my revenge on that course.
That's right.
But so let's talk lifestyle. Let's transition this conversation a little bit. So one of the things that I've seen over the past couple of years especially is the golf lifestyle has bled over. It's not just about being out there and playing golf anymore. It's about being part of the lifestyle, the gear you wear, the clothes, the clothing brands, Top Golf. All these things have blended together to make this lifestyle that I think hasn't even gotten close to reaching its pinnacle yet. So talk a little bit about that golf lifestyle, and we'll transition in after the break to talk about how that's bled over into what you do in jewelry.
Yeah, no, listen, golf has all of it, right? It's got fashion, like you talked about. Today I'm wearing a hoodie. I mean, who would have thought that a hoodie would be allowed on the grounds of Augusta National, never mind at country clubs, and now it's become the absolute norm and a comfortable thing to do. So I think golf as a lifestyle is going in the absolute right direction of making it more comfortable, more approachable, and in this digital age that we live in, being outside and a little bit more disconnected and just in nature, so to speak, which we're going to see today with, just beautiful trees and flowers and just being outside. And, one of the things for the Masters, not to go back to it, but, is you're not allowed to bring your cell phone in.
Yeah,
and so it's really cool to just disconnect and have a day outside. And I think that lifestyle, since COVID and as golf has grown, that's what I find the most appealing about golf right now, is just getting out on the weekends and getting outside and enjoying, that kind of world instead of stuck at the office.
I agree wholeheartedly. And it was told to me a long time ago If you look at golf in the business sense as golf, you're a fool. Golf is 4 hours, 5 hours of close personal time with people that you want to do business with. And once you start realizing those things, like you said, you're out in the woods, you can't be bothered, you have 4 or 5 hours that you know is being put away to do something, that the answer is not, don't worry about how good you are, worry about how much you enjoy playing. And then once you get over that hump, I find the sport to be much easier. If you just go out saying, I'm going to enjoy this, all the tension gets released. There's no phone. There's nothing to worry about. You put on some tunes, you have a couple of drinks, and you go out and you enjoy playing golf. And once you embrace that, I think you automatically become better at the sport. I mean, it just in what I've seen. So it's definitely exciting. So when we get back from the break, we're going to continue the conversation, but we're going to transition to what we were actually supposed to talk about, which is jewelry and marketing. You've been listening to Marketing Madmen on Extra 106.3. We got Jaron Solomon from Solomon Brothers, and we'll be right back. So welcome back to the Marketing Madmen on Extra 106.3. We have Jaron Solomon here from Solomon Brother Jewelers, and we're talking about lifestyle, because I think ultimately when you're marketing, one of the hardest things to do, but the easiest things to succeed at if you do it right, is to market a lifestyle. You're not marketing an object, because then you become a commodity. You're marketing a lifestyle. So, for example, jewelry. I bet you if you're at Augusta and you're going to plan people and you're going to know if somebody is a jewelry purchaser or not, you're going to know the lifestyle. You probably have an eye to pick out those people to know that lifestyle. And that's part of the job, right? You're not just selling jewelry, you're selling a lifestyle of taking care of your significant other, a lifestyle of bling and making sure people notice what's on your wrist. And no matter, or your finger, no matter what you say, no matter what anyone says, that is why people buy these things. So talk a little bit about that before we go into the nuance of the jewelry and the business your family set up. Talk about the lifestyle that accompanies jewelry and how you capitalize on that and how you market to that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, look, we are absolutely in the lifestyle business of making people feel good. They're going out, dressing up for a party, putting on their jewelry, and then just every day. I mean, I finally have found pieces that my wife loves to wear, and she wears them every single day to work and feels great about it. And that is what we're looking to do. We are looking to dress you up, put on something amazing for a guy. If it's a beautiful timepiece that makes him feel like he's accomplished something, that he has made it in life, so to speak, or if he's just starting off, we sell a lot of engagement rings. Well, that comes with a wedding day, and we have started to promote and try and tell the women, hey, let's get him, a day of wedding watch to make him feel like, hey, let me mark this occasion. And that's the lifestyle that we are trying to have, is that everything that's on your body, whether it be a bracelet, a ring, a timepiece, let that mark an occasion in your life of some kind. Promotion, birthday, anniversary, doesn't matter. And that's what we're trying to push.
Yeah, whether it be nostalgia or memories, like you said, because then all of a sudden this is telling a story, right? Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. That is what, as marketers, we are trying to do, is make everything we have tell a story. So really quick, for the people not acclimated, most people listen to the station and have heard your name for years now, but talk really fast about the business, how your family came over from South Africa, how you run your business, because that will segue into the rest of how we're going to have this conversation of how you guys have marketed and done such a great job of marketing.
Yeah, so really quick synopsis of the American dream. My dad and mom came over to the States in the late 70s from Cape Town, South Africa, and started in the business in 1978. And then quickly, my dad opened up ISL, which is Ivan Solomon Limited, in 1982, wholesaling diamonds. Fast forward into the 90s, and talk radio and things like that made Solomon Brothers really a big name in Atlanta. And Solomon Brothers, my dad brought over his two brothers from South Africa, Howard and Anthony, my two uncles, and Solomon Brothers became, thankfully, a household name here in Atlanta, a lot through, again, marketing through talk radio, now all the different mediums. And here we are today, fast forward to me taking over, unfortunately after my father passed away back in 2016, taking over to now we've got 3 stores, one in Buckhead, one in Alpharetta, one in Sharpsburg, Georgia, and really taking it by storm on a 2-prong approach of ISL, which is our wholesale company, and then Solomon Brothers Jewelers, which is our retail arm, and we are able to really merge those two together, and that's really what we do, selling diamond jewelry, is bring that wholesale mentality into the retail world and kind of make it that highest quality, best price. And the way we do that, you hear that a lot. But the way that we really do that is by actually having this wholesale arm and
cut out the middleman, baby.
Cut it out and actually do it. A lot of people say it, and we actually have the roots in the companies to do it. So.
Yeah, so two-part question. So it's going to be a lot. So take a big breath and be ready for this. So the first part is talk a little bit about the wholesale business of diamonds, and talk a little bit about how South Africa, especially in Africa, comes into play here. Because you don't need to reveal the family secrets, but just give an idea for people of how the diamond exchange works and how people are finding diamonds and everything. And then the second part is talk a little bit about how, when you talk lifestyle, when you're talking to masters, the diamond is the masters of jewelry. It is the most prestigious. There's a mystique about diamond. Talk a little bit of that, because that is going to set up the rest of this conversation, which is going to be a lot about how they're making fake diamonds, how it should not be allowed to. So go start a little bit with just how Africa plays in here and the diamond exchange, and why your family was able to set up that wholesale part of the business.
Yeah, so essentially, right, you want to find the rough diamond. The diamond doesn't come out of the ground all sparkly and clean.
The diamond in the rough, if you will.
In the rough. And so
that's what I'm looking for in salespeople also. That's crazy.
So people are going to South Africa, as we did, and they actually are on an auction. They call it a tender. And on the auction, you actually go and you bid on rough, and you buy the rough. So we've been doing that for many, many years.
Tinder, auction, and rough. This sounds completely sexual for some reason, but somehow we're talking diamonds. Keep going.
I'm only going to let you go.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm hoping my wife will actually listen to this, so I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
But so you go, you auction off the rough, you buy it. We cut everything in Tel Aviv, and basically then send the diamonds over here. It's not by ship or anything like that. We are getting them over here via Brinks, armored trucks, and obviously by plane. And so that's kind of how the rough diamond industry works. But you got to get the rough, cut the diamond, get the polished stone here, and then we distribute it out, obviously via our wholesale channel and via our retail channel. So that's kind of how the wholesale diamond business works, and definitely what gives us our advantage for sure.
Yeah, so I have to imagine that there's several players in the game, but not as many as one would think at the level you're doing it. So just give some context to the industry. How many importers are there? Just an idea. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'm curious how many people are out there, competitors of you, doing what you're doing in the area and in the country even.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky that we have the connections that we have, and that all stems from my dad back in the early 80s, networking and making some incredible friendships, because that's a lot of what this business is. So to answer your question, very, very, very small business overall, and even smaller when you get into the rough buying game. You're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of retailers, and you're talking about hundreds of rough manufacturers. It's really not very many for the industry and what it supplies. So it's a cool niche market to be in the manufacturing side.
Got it. All right. So before we get to the second question, which you probably already forgot by now, but I'm going to throw you off again. So where does the big box jewelers, I forgot the name of the corporate entity that owns like Jaron and all those guys. Yeah. Where do they come in here? How do they get their diamonds? And what advice would you give to people that are thinking of shopping there versus somebody like you who are listening across the country? Because we got listeners everywhere. Maybe they're not in Atlanta where they can come see you, but what advice would you give them as to why to go see somebody like you versus one of those Signo big box retailers?
Absolutely. So Signo, they're focused on streamlining everything. So a lot of what they're doing is the same, which is great, and I'm not going to knock their quality at all, but they have no optionality. So they can't make any moves, meaning if you come in, Nick, and you're looking to upgrade your wife's ring, which you should.
Yep.
She's birthed a couple of kids for you.
Yep.
So let's make that happen.
Yeah, 10 years in October.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Paris. It's time to upgrade the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. No vacations, people. Only diamonds. No, but it's where you can come in, and with me, we can see 7 or 8 different qualities, possibly even 20 different combinations, color, clarity, cut, all of that.
But each person has a different priority. Some people want to say, hey, this was the slightly included with this grade.
Right.
Some people just want it to look good. Some people want a diamond that will fit better with another piece of jewelry they have, right? So that optionality. I can't imagine that's something that people don't even know that they want, but when they see it, they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know this existed.
That's exactly right. So we are trying to get through that. Hey, you can come to Solomon Brothers, or an independent jeweler typically, but definitely with how we do it with our inventory, and you see a lot of options because we don't need to streamline anything. We can have whatever we want, whenever we want it. We can follow the trends versus, Signet and these big box stores. They have to think a year in advance. Their buying is done a year in advance versus I can buy something tomorrow if I want to and just implement it. And having that on the fly mentality really helps us service the client to the best of our ability. So when you walk into the big box stores, they've done a lot more marketing. They have a lot more buying power than I do as far as their advertising goes. Every kiss begins with K. I think it's an awesome line. But when you walk into K Jewelers, you are not going to have the options that you're going to have at Solomon Brothers, and you're paying for that big advertising campaign at the same time. But truthfully, the optionality, I think, is what separates us.
Yeah. So the only thing I would throw in there is you talked about relationships, and I have to imagine that's the other part of the business is not only do they have the relationship with you and your family and the person selling them the jewelry, but they have a store that's been there for a long time, that it's not beholden to the mall closing. Right, you guys have had that 17th floor of Tower Place for a long time, man. So I have to imagine that relationship, when you're buying something as important as a ring or this jewelry, that having that relationship with you, with the family, let's talk about, you have Answer here, and I know a lot of your family members, which is part of that relationship. But talk about why that relationship is so important, and why you can never get that in that kind of corporate setting, because who knows if the store is going to exist? Who knows if they're not going to just Signet is not just going to change it to ultimately be that name across all the board? It just talk about why that relationship is so important, especially when you talk about jewelry.
No, it's a great question, and it's a question that actually people ask me in an interview. When I'm interviewing them, they'll ask me some questions back, and they'll say, "What's your favorite part about what you do?" And it is absolutely playing a small but very important role. We specialize in selling engagement rings, starting off with people's journeys and doing big anniversaries like your 10th coming up. And being a part of that is the most special thing that we can do. And I probably take it for granted until you actually even ask this question. The fact that other people cannot do it, but I can't tell you how many weddings my salespeople have been invited to of their clients, because we're playing such a special role, and we're so thankful to play that role in their life. And yeah, they're going to get a handwritten thank you card afterward. They're going to come back in and see the same faces. We're very blessed to have a great staff that has longevity to it. And when you pay people nicely and you take good care of them and you give a high quality product and you give a great price to the consumer, all things should line up, and that just stems from a great relationship that we're able to carry forward. And I love seeing all the familiar faces that come into the store, and it's been really special to see that. I've been doing it a little over 11 years now, and to see the people and how they speak about my dad and the relationship that he built over 40 years here is just really incredible.
So the word I'm going to use here is investment. So I like to tell people this is specifically about marketing, but if you're going to look at your marketing as an expense, you're screwed from the beginning. If you're going to look at it as an investment, you will succeed. I imagine that this is something you are invested in, the people spending jewelry with you, which makes them, they feel like they are invested in the jewelry which they're buying. This is not an expense. This is an investment towards the future of their relationship, to celebrate their marriage. And if you can make them feel like they are making an investment as opposed to an expense, I have to imagine that benefits you again versus some of these other sellers and retailers.
100%. And to speak to the marketing side of that, right? You always want a return on your investment. You're never doing it just for vanity. Maybe some people, I don't know, Nick, but that's not good advice.
Talking about Jaron signing the outfield at the Braves Stadium, and we'll talk about vanity.
Okay, got me a little bit there. True. But for people coming in and buying such a special item, the return on their investment is not only that they get to show their love to their special somebody, but that they're buying something that also makes her happy. If the ring is breaking all the time, or diamonds are falling out of it, or things are needing to be fixed all the time, that's no good. So, and believe me, I can tell you, when the wife is unhappy, that's not a good thing. And I don't ever want somebody being like, "Oh, Solomon Brothers is causing me some stress in my life." There's enough stresses out there. So it's really nice that people have the confidence that when they're buying a quality product, she can put it on her hand, her wrist, her ears, her neck, whatever it may be, and just wear it and enjoy it and know that it's taken care of, and that they don't have to worry about a thing. And so I think that investment into that happiness is really, really crucial. And
this part of the show is sponsored by Ali Solomon.
Exactly. I'm definitely investing.
There you go. So I want to set up, because we segued into marketing nicely. Let's talk about the diamond industry, what they've done, because realistically, a diamond is no different than a piece of palladium or another rare earth metal or something that is of value because of its rareness and so what has the diamond industry done a good job of? How do you piggyback off of that? And then how do you use that towards your own marketing? Because ultimately, your goods are only as good as what the perceived market value is of what you're selling.
Right.
So what has the diamond industry done right over the past couple of decades, and how has that influenced how you market yourself?
Well, I think what the diamond industry did great over the last century, right, is a diamond is forever. And, De Beers and real is rare, and things of that nature, those marketing campaigns that have made people understand that, hey, this is a rare earth mineral, and, we are pulling it out of the ground, and there's only a finite amount. And, it's really a cool thing when you really think about how many, years and billions of years that it's taking for a rock to reach the Earth's surface, and all of the natural things that are happening for that diamond to come to be. I think that story needs to be told a lot more now. I think what the diamond industry is getting wrong right now is not capitalizing on that story, because, Nick, what you're referring to, or we'll get into, is these lab-grown diamonds. Yeah. And, a lab-grown diamond is a pure technology product.
Yeah.
2 years ago, it took about, you can fact check me on this, people, but roughly speaking, 2 years ago, it would take you months to grow a diamond in a lab. Now it takes you days, and that's over 24 months. It's improved that much. I can't imagine where it's going, but it is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And the reason why is because it's a technology product. I give a lot of people the example of, I remember walking to Best Buy with my dad, and there was a special part of the store where there was a 65-inch TV, and it was plasma, and it was the whole thing, and it was 20 grand. And now I walk into Costco and there's 85-inch TVs for $350.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what
that's a good way to put it, right? Because what you're talking about is early adopters versus there's no early adopters in diamond, right? This is not something, because of the processes of the earth. This is not something where you can just buy your way in and hope it adjusts. You're talking about a fine good, a product that the earth is making. So I think that's a good context to put it. So let me ask you this question, just because we're kind of setting up this whole story here. So when you talk about a real in the earth diamond, how many different governing bodies on there? Is there regulation into what is a real diamond? Because I think, again, part of this is there's got to be bad actors here. There's got to be people. Yeah. What is regulating said industry, or is it just an unspoken thing? Talk a little bit about that, because I think that'll help put even further pressure on why these things are so valuable.
Yeah, no, there is a ton of regulation on it, and there are diamond councils. There's still the Kimberley process that the rough has to go through. But what people would be most well known for, and that the consumer should worry about, is the GIA, so the Gemological Institute of America, which I know it says America in it, but they are worldwide. They're in every major country all around, on every continent, basically. And they have invested millions and millions and millions of dollars into the technology and the machinery to basically be able to detect with absolute certainty what is a natural diamond, did it come out of the ground, or was it built in a lab? And that has definitely kept everyone at bay. So the GIA will grade lab-grown diamonds. They will put lab-grown diamond on it.
Got it.
And then they will have natural diamonds.
And you're talking about even a half-life process, right? If you're doing a real test, you could actually probably tell how old the carbon that became the diamond is when you're in a real lab. In lab grow, you can't. It's impossible, because you're not talking about the same processes. So I mean, it's not advanced science. They do that with everything now. It's just this is the institute that has the technology, probably patent the technology to be able to do this on a scale level.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, that has sense. I think one of the things that I found, I feel like diamonds are something that either you get early or you age into. And let me give you an example. So when you're young and you're always out and about, then you can go to H&M and buy crappy T-shirts for $6. But as you age, you're like, I don't want this T-shirt to fall apart. Like, I don't have time for this stuff. So you buy things that have perceived value, like for watches, right? When I buy a watch, the intention of not buying the watch is, hey, I'm going to wear this for a couple of months and that's the end of it. My watch is, I might just give this to my child, which all of a sudden now changes the value perception you had. Who cares if I'm spending $5,000 if I'm going to own this thing for the rest of my life? I'd rather own that than own 20 watches for $500 that are going to fall apart.
Right.
So I think that is something you have to age into. So what are you doing on your front to change people's perception and getting those people who are brand new, don't want to spend $8,000 in their pocket for an engagement ring? How are you marketing those people and kind of carrying on the legacy of what the diamond industry has done so far?
Well, I think you've given a great example there, and I actually think that I don't want listeners to think I'm knocking on lab-grown diamonds, because I actually think that they serve a purpose, and I think that at a certain stage in your life, not to dumb it down or anything like that, but it can be a really great product, and that's how I would describe it, though. But I do think eventually one day, the way I see this going, is that people that own a lab-grown diamond will age into saying, hey, I would like a natural diamond and something to pass down forever that is rare, that can't just be replicated over and over and over again. And that's where, again, I don't want to use the word knocking it, because I'm not. We sell plenty of lab-grown diamonds because I think that number one, there's a huge demand for it. But I do think that people will age into it, using your words, Nick, to say, you know what, I want the real McCoy, right? Yeah. That saying comes from somewhere, and the diamond industry is absolutely that. And I do think that, when you're walking around with a 3, 4, 5 carat rock that is made from a lab, I don't think that it's going to be very comfortable for anybody to hear the question, oh, is that a lab-grown diamond? And then get that look afterward. That's like, oh, okay, you only spent X. But I do think a good stage is to start with it.
And women are way worse. Like, dudes don't look at each other and be like, is that Rolex fake? But a woman would be like, they would ask completely, because they actually try to be like, oh my gosh, she doesn't have more than I have. Why is hers 4 and mine is 3? So I think it's funny. I think it's one of those things where, like, yeah, $2 wine is great until you try Opus 1. Yeah, Jim Beam is wonderful until you try a $200 bourbon. And then once you know what the real thing is, I think it's really hard to look back. So I think it's similar, right? Now, all of a sudden now, when you know, hey, I've made it and I can afford $10,000 to go buy a nice 2-carat ring, and now all of a sudden the value is there, I think that's it. What has the lab-grown diamond, what has it done to the traditional diamond industry? Driven prices up, brought them down? What has it done as far as supply and demand goes?
So in the immediate aftermath, basically in these last 3 years, it has brought the prices down pretty tremendously in the natural world.
To compete, or just because now there's more diamonds, so there's less demand for the traditional ones?
Exactly. It's more of a supply and demand deal.
Maybe I will buy the ring now. All of a sudden, if you're telling me this, I'm going to hold you to it.
No, it is absolutely time to buy a natural diamond. They're back really to prices in the early 2000s. And that's when we really started to see that climb. So now we've seen it steady out the last 3 months. The first quarter of this year, we actually saw prices increase a little bit. And
normalizing, though. I would imagine that's your phrase. They have a little up and down, but they're kind of at that normalized phase, which is a good thing probably for the industry, I have to imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, it kind of went through that COVID scene where it was unsustainable. You're buying a 2-carat diamond for $25,000, $26,000, and it's like, that's not a normal 2-carat. So I think the prices came down more from a high rather than it coming down from actually what it should have been, if that makes sense.
Got it. Yeah, I love it. It makes a ton of sense. I think we're going to break here, but when we're going to get back, we're going to finish up this conversation, and then we're going to give you guys the update on what Map and Flag and what the Masters looks like, because we are pretty damn close to Augusta. You've been listening to the Marketing Madmen on Extra 106.3, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Marketing Madmen. Nick Constantino here with Jaron Solomon, and we made it. But before we break the ultimate code of silence and tell everybody about Map and Flag, Jaron, what does the future of your industry look like, my man? What does the next 5 years look like? What does it look like for marketing? What does it look like for diamonds? What do you think is going to happen? Tell us some future, buddy.
Oh, man. So definitely looking at the experience in retail, we are selling a product that, has never been able to take over the online world, because it is a touch and feel product. And, Nick, we want to give people the experience. That's why when you walk into our stores, we're already going down the path of having a bar in the store. You've been up there. There's drinks flowing.
Yep.
And we got.
And it's got to be experience, so you got the right booze too. We're not putting the rack stuff. We got the good stuff in there.
only the best. And we got the TVs going, and we got all the games happening, so that guys can come in on a Saturday during college football and they can watch all their favorite teams. Tell us, hey, we'd love to see this game or that game. We can turn it on for them. We know that has nothing to do with jewelry, but that has everything to do with the experience that they have in our store. And we're just going to continue to find little things to make the experience that much better, so that coming into Solomon Brothers and shopping for jewelry is just fun and it's a good time.
That's that lifestyle. That's leading into that lifestyle. Yeah. What about the industry as a whole? So, I mean, obviously, diamonds and gold, all these things have been, on such an upward trajectory. There's been ebbs and flows, but what do you think the industry is going to do to, reinvent itself? Like, what, there's got to be plans. What do you think the industry is going to try to do over the next couple of years?
That's a great question. And look, it's all about, honestly, this lab-grown versus natural talk right now. That's basically where we're all at. We touched on that earlier in the episode, and I do think that natural diamonds will come back in a big fashion. And so I think over the next 5 and 10 years, when those folks start having those big anniversaries, they'll come back in for those upgrades, and we're about to go through that real upgrade generation and that cycle as we go through. And now this new generation coming up that's getting engaged, we have to find a way in the business to market to them and to engage them, because all they're doing, they're on their phones 24/7. They're lost in all the social media, and we need to find a way to make them kind of lift their head up, come into the store, touch and feel the product, and understand why a diamond is so important because of what it represents and what they're embarking on in their life.
Yeah,
people are still going to get engaged, right?
It's got to make marketing a little bit harder, right? Like, this is something I tell people all the time. One of the big problems that I see with digital marketing is they're giving credit to the last click attribution, but ultimately, I didn't buy a Mercedes because I clicked on it on a website. I bought it because they've been marketing to me aspirationally for my entire life. So how do you walk the line of marketing to people for something that they don't know they need yet? And I have to imagine that's more complicated than marketing to somebody. And the way I say that is they don't know they need a real diamond yet. Yeah. They still think they believe a lab. So how do you market to them so they know you're there for when you do need them? And I have to imagine that's something that keeps you up at night, is that marketing has changed that much. Now, it's not they may need you now, they may need you in the future, but you got to be relevant and top of mind.
It has become, it does keep me up at night in a big way, but really branding ourselves and associating ourselves with great companies and teams like the Atlanta Braves. The preferred jeweler of the Atlanta Braves, now going on our 2nd season, and that's a team that we want to kind of hook our line to, because they're not only just good on the field, so be it, but just as an organization, they represent the right things. We're on great, not to toot 680 horn here, but we're on great radio stations that do a great job. And so that the funnel that we're building to be top of mind when it comes, digital is always going to be very important. Like you just said, when they're ready to pull the trigger, you've got to be there, right? I got to be looking at people, 25 to 35, looking to get engaged for the first time.
Especially when you're the market leader, because otherwise your competitors are coming in to swoop that.
Right.
But I mean, I've seen people make splash sites that are looking identical to yours just to go capture your business. I mean, it's not far-fetched to believe these things happen. So being the market leader for so long, it comes with its own challenges, I assume.
100%, and you got to be wary of that. But when you have put all of that brand equity into the marketplace, which we'll continue to do, when you do get to them on their phone, when they're ready to make that big decision, they have no doubt that Solomon Brothers is the place to be, because they've heard it over and over and over again.
Yeah, love it. All right, my man. So review. So we just finished probably walking 7-8 miles. You were a wonderful tour guide. We got to see a lot of it. We got to eat, we got to move, we got to drink, we got to do all the amazing things. So what was your favorite part? Give Map and Frag a review, and give some people advice for if they ever get the ability to come down here and go check it out.
Oh, man. So I really enjoyed the day. We got to walk all 18 holes. We got to see the front side, the back side. But really, Map and Flag was first class. I wouldn't have expected anything different from Augusta National. Like I mentioned earlier, the service was exceptional. People asking you how you're doing, have a great day, just waiting for you at your hand and foot. And you're paying big money to be there, and It's really a first-class experience. So Map and Flag, it's only going to get better and better.
Yep.
I will give it a 9.5 because it still obviously is going to open up its second level, and we haven't seen it in its full bloom. But as for today, I could not have asked for anything better. Food was great, drinks were great.
Yeah. So my quick observations were the mystique is driven. Like the question is the master so amazing because of the people that go, or the people that go so amazing because of the master? And what makes it so, as I couldn't answer that question. Like I thought it was going to be much more stuffy and like security everywhere. People that go just kind of know how to behave and how to act and interact in that way. And that is a really fine line to walk. But I think the community of people that go and how you get in and everything makes those people the best ambassadors of the game and of the masters that there are. It's like a cool kids club, and once you're in, you just want to stay part of the club. So I think it was amazing. I think like you said, the food and drink was great. I think that the day went so much faster than I would have ever imagined.
Yeah.
I mean, from when we got there, every time I looked at my watch, somehow 2 hours had passed. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And to be honest with you, like, not just today in life, ditch your phones more often, guys. Unless you're listening to the Marketing Madmen podcast, ditch your phones, enjoy it, because not having a phone felt like the day went by so much faster with even less stuff going on. So I would think overall it was a great experience. If I ever have the opportunity, I would love to go back again. It was not so easy, and it comes off my budget line, so I'll be dealing with this one for quite some time. But it was awesome.
Special place. Yeah.
So Jaron, well, thanks for coming for the day. Thanks for doing this in the car ride. Tell everybody how to find you guys on socials and everything.
This was awesome, Nick. I appreciate it. At Solomon Brothers on Instagram, and again, our 3 locations in Buckhead, Alpharetta, and Sharpsburg, Georgia now.
Sharpsburg, Georgia. You heard it here. You can listen to the Marketing Madmen on Extra 106.3, and we'll catch you next time.
This morning in the Atlanta airport, no one's missing a meal on Mac Wilburn's watch. With 11 restaurants to serve passengers, he's got dining for every destination. And it all started when Mac talked with First Horizon Bank about opening a franchise in the airport. Now it's open for business and cleared for takeoff. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Mac. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
Hey sandwich lovers, today's your lucky day. There's a whole new way to roll for lunch or dinner delight with Nucky's Hoagies in the Roswell Corners Shopping Center. Now open. Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell is family owned and operated by the Sub-Sisters, Stacy and Shannon, whose love language is food, and Nucky's Hoagies, their passion. When you bite into a Nucky's Hoagie, you'll taste the difference. The softest hoagie rolls ever, along with hunger-quenching sandwich combinations. Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell on Woodstock Road your new favorite spot for lunch or dinner.
Hey homeowners, Southern Exteriors is your go-to for top-notch exterior services. From roofing, siding, windows, and gutters, you name it, and you get immediate service. Plus, their in-house warranty division means peace of mind for years to come. From leaky roofs to faded siding, trust Southern Exteriors for a quick, lasting transformation. Call 877-9-SOUTHERN or visit them online at southernexteriors.co. Southern Exteriors, quality and precision you can rely on for over 20 years.